Welcome back to the Morning Brief on Channels Television. And we switch gears now to look at the electoral process ahead of the all-important governorship election in Edo State, which will take place tomorrow, September the 21st. Let's head now over to Benin City, the Edo State capital, to talk with one of our correspondents, Jessica Ologbusere, who's standing by to bring us up to speed with preparations for tomorrow's exercise. Hello, Jessica. Very good to see you. Tell us where exactly you are in Benin City and give us the updates that you have. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning. I'm at the Ring Road. At the Ring Road, the central area of Benin City, the Edo State's capital. As you and almost everyone knows, the Edo State governorship election is holding tomorrow, Saturday, the 21st of September 2024, long awaited, and now it's about 24 hours or so, a day, less than a day to the election. And we know that at this point, campaigns have ceased. Campaigns have come to a close. That ended at 12 a.m. today, or 12 midnight. And we also know at this point that the state government has declared today, Friday, the 20th of September, a work-free day. This is to enable workers who need to go a distance, who need to travel to where they're registered to cast their ballots, to be able to prepare and then go there before tomorrow, because there are local governments outside the Benin metropolis where you may need to take, say, hours, that the drive takes hours to get to. So at this point, we know that today is a work-free day, and apart from the government's declaring today a work-free day, it also gave members of the public the assurance that they will be secure, that there is security. That's another assurance that the police gave as well. The police have said that they are working with sister security agencies to ensure that the election is violence-free. They are providing a level playing field for everyone, participants, parties, electorate, everyone alike. But they've also given a list of do's and don'ts, things that are expected to be seen at the polling units and things that are not to be there. Okay, where I am now is the Ring Road area in Edo local government area. Edo State has 18 local government areas, and there's Edo South Senatorial District, which has 7 local government areas, Edo North Senatorial District, 6 local government areas, Edo Central, 5 local government areas. So from Benin City or Edo local government area, people may need to go to these other local government areas to cast their ballots where they are registered for the election. Now, we know that, concerning security, the police have also said they've deployed over 30,000 policemen to cover these areas. They've given the assurance that they are going to be covering land, air, and water. They're going to be securing the borders into the state from different angles. The neighboring states, the borders to the neighboring states are going to be secured as well. So at this point, assurance of security is given both from the state government and the police. From the electoral umpire, we know that yesterday some electoral materials were deployed or distributed to local government areas from the CBN at the Kwakwabe Road in Benin City, the Edo State capital. So at this point now, preparations seem to be ongoing. It's a work-free day, but at the Ring Road, we can still see people moving around, maybe to put finishing touches to what they need to do today before they go out tomorrow for the elections. So from the different angles, security, INEC preparedness, everyone is saying they are prepared. So it's for the voters to go out tomorrow to vote.
Indeed, Jessica, and it's good to see the hustle and bustle behind you. Looks like everybody is doing last-minute preps. So clearly, Benin City is very much alive today. But we had reports of incidents. In an INEC office in particular, they had said that some political thugs were camped just in front of the office trying to gain entrance. So hearing from the INEC officials and the offices around that we've been able to cover, have there been any incidents that may have heightened the security alertness that you might want to speak to? But basically, the INEC offices, the officials, how are they faring from what you've heard?
Okay, well, not from INEC itself, but the police yesterday did say that it's going to ensure that the INEC offices, both in the headquarters and those in the local government areas, are protected. That is why they have this number of policemen deployed to the state. So the 33,000 policemen are not going to be stationed just at the polling units or ward areas. They're also going to be at the racks. They're going to be at the INEC offices. That is what they say at this point. I cannot confirm at this time whether there's been any incident of thuggery or the like at the INEC offices anywhere.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Quite a busy ambience you have there. It really doesn't look like a public holiday. But thank you for your reporting. And from Jessica, who reported from the Ring Road area, we go to our correspondent, Dare Idowu, who is at another location in Benin City, the Edo State capital. Hello, Dare.
Hello, Bukola.
Yes, good to hear from you, Dare. What's your own update? And I'll specifically like to know, Dare, beyond what INEC is saying about preparation, we saw yesterday the commencement of the collection and deployment of sensitive election materials. But what are you hearing about the arrival of those materials in the local government areas and polling units where they'll be required?
Yeah, thank you very much, Bukola. Again, just like Jessica had actually reported, the movement started yesterday from the CBN to the local government. Usually with elections, this is what happens. From the CBN to local governments, 18 local governments in Edo State, and they will start dispatching, moving them towards and to the racks. From what we've gathered so far, it's been a smooth movement because, again, aside what INEC is saying, just like you've asked, the police have also ensured that these materials, sensitive materials, are moving and without any glitch. Okay, so this is what the INEC has said about beavers. Because it is a sensitive material, they said they will be deploying 5,000 beavers to 4,519 polling units across the state. And where I'm standing at the moment, although we are trying to be a little bit careful as well, because there are billboards around, and as you know, campaigns have ended yesterday. But I'm standing few kilometers away from the INEC office, where there will be a lot of activities in the coming hours. And what we can see there, you can see the police vehicle parked right in front of that particular premises, and there's going to be a lot more. But the question asked, I think I already asked a question earlier about maybe hoodlums or thugs camping around there. We passed through that place. We didn't see any. But in the course of maybe crossing in the course of the day, we're still going to do a lot more checks, go to more local government, go to INEC offices in the state to at least give you an accurate report as to what is happening in terms of deployment and how the materials are getting to where they're designated to be. One other thing that I can talk to you about, the weather is quite mild, quite, I'm standing there, it's quite cloudy as well. But one thing that you need to know is the excitement of the people. We've been moving from point A to point B. If you're in a cab, the drivers are like willing to talk to you about the election. One thing they are quite maybe not so keen about is the number of deployments, and everywhere you turn to, you see security men, you see vans and sirens blaring everywhere, and they are wondering what is going on. But I can tell you a little bit from experience that it is a staggered election, and there's a whole lot of concentration, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of deployment, and that is the beat in terms of security and deployment, Bukola.
Dare, thank you for that update, because there were reports about the INEC office in Oredo being, there being some sort of siege by political thugs. Glad that that has been resolved. But I know you've been speaking with people. As a journalist, you can't help it. Talking to people, finding out what they look forward to, whether or not they will be a part of that election. It's one thing to be upbeat during the campaign periods, another thing to actually go out to vote. And voter turnout, we've seen, particularly for Edo, and I think it's a general thing, has not been very impressive. You have just a very little percentage of the population deciding for everybody by way of voting. So what have people been telling you? Are they excited to not just, participate in the campaign, the banter and all, but to actually go out to vote tomorrow? Have you gotten that excitement from people and readiness? Okay, we'll try to reconnect with correspondent Dari Dowu, but that has always been a major challenge when it comes to the election process in Nigeria. Voter turnout. You see lots of people registered for elections, and you try to do the math. If at least 60 people, or 60% rather, of this population, if they come out, then you expect that the election will be at least deemed representative of the desires, the will of the people. But that's not usually the case, Bukola. You find out that most times very few people compared to those who were registered come out. Let me just give you what Edo State has seen in the past few years regarding voter turnout. In 2024, plus 2 million people are registered to vote for that Edo election. 2.6 million people registered to vote for that election. But you see that over time, a very little percentage of people have actually come out to vote. In 2022, 2.2 million people were registered to vote. But I can tell you this, less than 50% actually came out to vote in that particular election. So the big question is, will this year be different? Now, we'll reconnect with our correspondent, Dari Dowu, to get a sense of what to expect.
And in 2016, Kadi, in that document provided by Yaga Africa, 1.9 million people registered to vote, but only 32% came out to vote. And, you know, in 2020, there was a decline in that figure. Hopefully, there would be an improvement this time around if we see that the electorate own the process. So these are some of the issues that may define the electoral process tomorrow. Yaga Africa has also been talking about hotspots where, you know, the security agents need to concentrate on and ensure that what we see tomorrow will be peaceful and nothing less than that. And speaking of security, in that, you know, actuality, where we saw our correspondent Dari Dowu, we could hear the movement of security operatives. We could hear the sound of their siren blaring just before we lost connection through to Dari Dowu. We hope that that will also play out in tomorrow's exercise. So
from Yaga Africa, you can see the hotspots and flashpoint local government areas for that Edo election. And of course, the ones in red, those expected to be the flashpoint. But this is actually would I say an appeal, or just a call to reason, let me say that, an appeal to the people to look at these areas. If you stay in Ovia Southwest, Ovia Northeast, Oredo, Egor, Ikwabalka, and those places, we're hoping that you can say, no, we will not engage in violence this time around. We will not be a part of the statistics. That's why we're speaking to this. But let's rejoin our correspondent, Dari Dowu, who is back with us now. Dari, I was speaking about what you've been able to glean from the people regarding voter turnout. Are they excited to vote tomorrow? Will a lot of them be going out, or they're skeptical? What do you know?
Kayode, it's mixed actually, of course, from what I mentioned earlier. From talking to people at the market, from talking to drivers, they say they're quite excited about this election. They're willing to go, but they also expressed a bit of reservations as well, especially when it comes to the deployment. Sometimes when you have heavy deployment, the people are maybe interpreting it as it could lead to voter intimidation. But by and large, they are quite excited. They are talking about the election. They're only just wondering why this much deployment. The police said they have deployed about 35,000 personnel. And out of that, they're also still going to be assisted by 8,000 other security agencies in this state of, say, 18 local governments, 4,519 polling units. So let's see what's going to play out in the morning. 8:30 polls would open, and usually I would always like to just wait for that, because when you get to an election point, when you get to the polling unit, when you get to the busiest polling unit, sometimes one of the best ways to even measure before the statistics, before the numbers start coming in, is to see what the turnout look like at the polling unit, at the busiest polling unit. Sometimes the racks, but we can only just wait. It's less than 24 hours before polls open in Edo State, Kayode.
Daria, why is your excitement infectious? This is a journalist's joy, covering stories, covering elections. I can literally feel your excitement, and I haven't been on the field with
the energy,
you.
Right?
Exactly, I haven't been on the field with you, Daria. I know that feeling. This is meant to be, the hallmark, the crescendo point for democracy, and we hope, as we said earlier on, seeing those flashpoints, that people will say no to violence. I recall, I think it was in Ekiti, and people were saying, no, we're not collecting money to vote. And there was that phrase that, Dibo Sebemo, so we're not voting and you give us money to cook. We're not going to do that anymore. But in general, Daria, I'd like you to also speak to the presence of other stakeholders in this. It's not just security. There's also the civil society present, election observers, the monitors, the international community, and the rest. How much attention is beamed on Edo State? I mean, security is a big one, and we'll have that conversation. But speak to us about the presence of other stakeholders.
Yeah, Kade, you know how it works. So, okay, since we got to this town, there's been a lot of movement, not just security operatives. CSOs are everywhere. They're briefing, they're giving accounts, they're running data. Okay, so let me give you, and I'm pretty much just buttressing what you just mentioned about vote buying. Young Africa also expressed a bit of fear when it comes to vote buying. They said some of the pre-election activities have already been riddled with a lot of inducements, and they're also hoping that tomorrow security operatives would ensure that that doesn't happen. And also the citizen, they're appealing to the citizen to be resilient, to also ensure that they vote without being lured to vote, as the case may be. So there's a very heavy presence of CSOs around as well. In the course of the day, we will be touching base with some of them. They would also still be briefing in the day. Biaga briefed yesterday, reeled out some numbers, the very key numbers that will form the talking point in this election. Just like I've mentioned earlier, 18 local government, we have about 17 to 18 candidates in this election, 4,519 polling units across 192 wards of the state. There are some terrains may be difficult for electoral officers to access, and INEC already said that 5,000 beavers will be deployed, 18,000 ad hoc officials from presiding officers to APO 1, 2, 3, and they would also be having supervising officers across board, just to ensure that the process runs smoothly. Kind of from experience as well, just like you mentioned in Ekiti and maybe in Osun, what happens is that when you have fewer local governments, or where you have places which are quite accessible by either security or INEC officials, you are likely going to have a process where the collation of results and the announcement may be slightly faster than where you have very difficult terrains and a very high number of local governments or very high number of voters, Kayode.
Yes, indeed, Daria, your excitement is truly contagious, but unfortunately we can't join you. We must keep, the fort on this side of the divide. And we hope that some of your contagion will lead you to some great scoops for Channels Television. Our correspondent there, Daria Idowu, reporting from Benin City, the Edo State capital, specifically somewhere close to the INEC office in the capital. Stay safe, Daria, while you do your work. And so we'll take a break now and, of course, wind down, relax a little bit with something equally exciting to talk about. That will be after this break. Join us again.